Right it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome everybody this evening to the American Fork City Council meeting. It is September 9th of 2025 and 7 p.m. And again, we appreciate the seeing faces in our chambers. We're going to begin with a public hearing, and we'll just take them one by one. We'll first start with to receive public comment on the dedication of property to be surplused and disposed of. Carolyn, will you quantify the address? Is it the one right below us? Oh, no, that's property, excuse me. Okay, no, property. This is just vehicles and other things in our city that are in not working order. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the second item. We're here to receive public comment on the vacation of apportionment of a public utility easement at 1026 North, 1050 East. If anybody'd like to make a comment, we'd ask you to come forward at this time. Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing and we'll move on to our regular session. We'll begin with a Pledge of Allegiance, after which we'll have an invocation by Councilmember John, and then I will conduct the roll call. If everybody please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our eternal Father in heaven, as we come before Thee this night to meet as the American Fork City Council, we ask that Thou would bless us and bless this chambers, that we will be able to have Thy Spirit to guide us, to be fair and equitable, to make the decisions that are in the best interest of our cities. As we come before, we ask that Thou would bless our city, our residents, and especially bless our city employees. Bless them that they might be able to continue to do the things that they do behind the scenes and to be able to go home to their families at night. Father, we're thankful for our government, for the opportunity we have to live in this free nation. When we ask that Thou would bless our national leaders and our state leaders. And Father, we're thankful for all the blessings Thou hast given us. And these things we ask for in the name of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay, I'll now conduct the roll call. Councilmember Hunter.
Here, Mayor.
Councilmember Hawley. Here. Councilmember John.
Here.
Councilmember Carroll. Here. Councilmember Taylor.
Here.
Okay, item number 2 of our regular session is the time we set aside to hear from anybody that would like to address the mayor, the council, or senior staff by way of a public comment. We'd have you come forward. Please state your name for the public record, and we'd ask you to limit your comments to 2 minutes. And so we have an open mic for anybody who'd like to do that. Please come forward.
My name is Jared Payne. I live south of the interstate. I have a major concerns about pedestrian and cycling safety within the city. I actually had a longer presentation. I didn't know how long we would have. 2 minutes isn't really enough to sort of point out the issues and address them. And I'd love to come back and share a longer presentation sometime. But one of the action items that I would love to hear for you to start looking at is pedestrian leading intervals. This is when you're at a traffic light and all the cars are stopped. The pedestrians get 3 to 7 seconds to pass, to start crossing before the traffic goes. I cannot tell you how many times I am almost clipped by drivers because the light turns green and the crosswalk goes at the same time, and they just swing around the corner and almost clip me. This happens multiple times a week, and it is very dangerous. Pedestrian leading intervals, according to the National Road, it's that people say that it decreases those types of accidents by about 15%, which is meaningful to me and my family, as we do are active pedestrians most of the time in the city. I go about 3,000 miles a year in this city. So I would love to hear any feedback that the city council has or answer any questions.
Yeah. You know, I would say this, I'm going to ask you on that table as you came in, there was a sheet. Will you fill out it, your name, your phone number and email? I think that this is something we'd like to run through our staff, our public works director. We coordinate a lot of what you're talking about with UDOT, with lights, and they're in the best position to understand it, and then we can learn from them.
Okay.
Okay? So if you'd fill that out and then give it to our city recorder. So, thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to make public comment?
If there's enough time, 20 minutes would be adequate for me to go over more.
Hi, I'm Amber Lampf. I'm a resident down in the southwestmost corner of the TOD area. Our family owns a Century Farm there, and I know on your agenda tonight that you have the development for the area train stations and possible future looks at where the train station could be moved to. I'll have to say I'm a little disappointed because the agenda that came out did not include the updates that the Planning Commission actually had put in place prior to it coming to here to the city board. So let me remind you that one of them was that our Centennial Farm that was supposed to be marked on the map and as on the legend, I guess to say, where they have things numbered on what you guys want to do in that area. That is not updated. Our farm's not on there still. Another was that the flow chart, it was supposed to be specifically updated to say that if the owners of the property are not looking to develop, then it immediately gets nixed as a plan option and gets moved. So specifically, I'm talking about concept 1, which moves the train station less than a half a mile west from where it's currently located on 200 South. And then lastly, just to update the concept drawings, because it's very deceiving to any of the citizens that aren't aware of that area as much, making them think that, oh, look, this has already got all these buildings and everything in place, when really it's a wide open farmland. And we, like I said, we're a Centennial Farm. We're on our 102nd year of farming. We don't plan on changing that. I would really appreciate that this concept just be removed completely from the plan, specifically because, one, it goes on my property, and I'm not looking to do this. So I can tell you 5 years from now, our family will still be farming. We're still not going to be developing. So this is still not going to be a viable concept. In addition, it's not a viable concept because you guys don't even have the infrastructure down there to support building anything. One of the only properties that we don't own there on that far west side is, excuse me, is the green parcel. They're the only ones looking to develop, and they can't even develop to the density that they want to because the sewer and water can't currently hold any more development there. So I think that it's just bad planning on American Fork's part to even put this as an option in that map of the transit oriented development area. And you know, I keep getting told that this is only a concept, but I also know how things work. And if something gets put on a map, as could be a plan, sometimes people will push for that plan. And we are not looking in any way to change our minds about farming and staying that wide open green area that we are. And lastly, I just want to remind the commission that your land use element specifically states that part of it, the plan of it, is to foster agriculture and other industries. Well, we're agriculture, and we're getting nipped at every single corner from Pioneer to the Mill Pond Road to 200 South to an extra front runner lane to the new road that's going to go below connecting Vineyard So our farm is slowly getting pulled apart, and I just really would appreciate that you guys help us continue to farm by not including that as an option on the concept plan. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, can I just speak one more item on that? The other part of that plan is that half of it is actually located in Lehigh. So I'm not sure how you guys could even put that as an option for a train station when Lehigh knows nothing about this, has no idea that American Fork is planning on potentially pushing it down that direction. And I understand, once again, it's a concept, but even partnering the city that's going to be in that concept should probably, in my opinion, be included before it's actually approved by council. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to make public comment? Seeing none, we will close the public comment. We'll move on to item number 3, our city administrator's report. David.
Thank you, Mayor. I've just got a couple things to report. So the Timpanogos Special Service District will have a board workshop on September 18th. That's Thursday. And the public is invited. And at that workshop, the district will be discussing, again, the planning phase, 20-year planning phase, and district performance, all things to do with the sewer treatment plant. And it's a great day, and the public's invited. And just to remind the council, within the next decade, the sewer district will be spending close to $1.2 billion in upgrades to the treatment plant and all of the outfall lines that are coming to the district from all the cities. So lots of growth, and it requires the district to upgrade the plant. Also on September 22nd is Bubble Day. And you've heard the saying, what goes up must come down. Well, sometimes what comes down must go back up. And so we are putting the bubble back up on Monday, the 22nd. And so the pool will actually be closed for 3 days. So for all of our patrons that want to come to the pool, we'll be closed. But our patrons can go to Pleasant Grove or Lehigh during those days and still have access to a pool. So just want to let the public know that. That's all I have to report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Okay, now we'll now move on to the council reports, and we'll start with Councilmember Hunter.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to just briefly mention that we've been working on this economic development stuff, kind of coalescing with some of the transitions with the chambers. It's been really rewarding to look at that. Had a few of us on that committee, and it's been pretty exciting to talk about the downtown plan, some of the things, and just looking at the nature of the city as a whole and how that's going to look. And so pretty excited about just trying to the extent that we can, be out in front of things as best we can. Obviously, we're not in the business of developing, but being aware of what might fit well where, trying to be proactive about that. And it's been fun to be a part of those discussions. That's probably all I've got tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Hawley.
Just one quick thing, Mayor. Our cemetery committee did meet for the first time in the fall last week, and just have some turning over of members, a few members that resigned, and just want to say publicly thank you to the Hares and Bruce Franson for some years of service in our committee. And we're going to be voting on the Togisalas in one of the action items today, so we're going to be welcoming them in. And then also, we're finalizing the Veterans Day program, and we'll give some more information as we finalize that. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember John.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple quick things. I had the opportunity to attend one of the funerals in Logan this last week for the fallen officers, and I got to spend a good part of the day with our American Fork PD, and I am amazed and very proud every time I get to spend time with them at the professionalism and the caring and compassion that they showed for their fellow officers and for those families. Chief Paul actually rode up on a motorcycle in the rain so he could be part of the motor brigade. And it is always a humbling experience to be in those buildings and to listen to the accomplishments of those officers and how they represented their community, and I am grateful every day for our public safety and what they do for us. Second, Mayor, I attended an open house in Sandy this last week for their new transfer station. You know, South Valley had a new transfer station they built, and we had the open house earlier this year. They had theirs. It's on the east side. It's just off of I-15, so everyone on the east side for the Transjordan District. It serves 7 cities. And the technology and the way that we can do things, these last 2 are totally indoors. There are no outdoor, everything. The doors are quick open. You go in, the doors open and close behind you so stuff doesn't blow away. If you don't know what they are, you will be able to drive by this one in Sandy every day and not have a clue that that's a transfer station, that they're moving solid waste in and out every day. And we're in the process of the design and looking at our options for North Point. And I think, as I've said before, we were hoping to be able to add on to the old building, but the foundations of that building are crumbling and cracked, so we're going to have to go from scratch. So our design process will take through next year, and but it's not going to be quite as expensive as TSSD by a long shot, but it is not going to be cheap. So as that continues on, I'll report more, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you. I have nothing to report tonight.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Taylor.
Yes, Mayor, just as a point of paying attention to a couple of things that are going to be happening. I was able to be at the cemetery committee meeting, and we talked about a really critical element that I believe exists, and has been brought to my attention by a few people who have loved ones who are now deceased, who are veterans, and the committee is working together to be able to provide a solution on the Veterans Memorial area that we have right up there in the corner of H, and put some things together. We had a really good meeting. It was frank, it was open, and but I think we're going to determine things that will be beneficial to display whether you're buried in the American Fork Cemetery or not, or if you're a son or a daughter of American Fork City, you know, to be able to have, through some certain criteria, to be able to have your name on those stones if you served as a veteran. We're going to be working, like I say, put criteria together so that it's not just carte blanche, but excited to get our 2 new members on the cemetery committee tonight so that they can jump in and help us work on those things. But it's exciting. I think it's something that's really needed, and looking forward to having that come back to this group. I probably will come in a work session first and then later on, but in something more in the form of a vote. But I just wanted everyone to be aware of that, and again, appreciation for the cemetery committee and all that the time and effort that they put in, and how they guard such a sacred place in our city. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you for that report. I have nothing to report this evening, so we'll move on to the common consent agenda. It consists of 4 items. Has there been any noted changes in the minutes, Taylor? Okay, any questions on the common consent?
Mayor, I'd move approval of the common consent agenda.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Taylor,
Second.
second by Councilmember John. Any discussion on this motion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Hawley.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Okay, item number 1A is the appointment of Stan Colby to the senior board with term ending 2028. Stan is a great helper down there, very willing to serve. He has just returned from a mission. He's served there previously, and now he's home, and we want to put him to work. And so he can't be here tonight, but I can vouch for his good character and his love for that board and the people. Any questions? Okay. I have now, and then 1B and C, as mentioned in some reports tonight, is the appointment of Lloyd Tagasala to the Cemetery Committee with term ending 2028, and Aniva Tagasala to the Cemetery Committee with the term ending 2028. We're just very lucky to have good people that will step up and serve in our city. Any questions on these three appointments?
Mayor, I'd move to approve the appointments of Stan Colby to the Senior Board with a term ending 2028, and to Lloyd and Aniva Tagasala to the Cemetery Committee with a term ending 2028.
I have a motion by Councilmember Taylor,
I'll second that.
second by Councilmember Carroll. Any discussion on this motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Hawley.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a review and action on approval of a temporary seasonal use business license known as Strangling Brothers Haunted Circus, located at 632 East, 1500 South in the planned industrial zone. Any questions on what this is or on this application?
Mayor, I had a question. I actually asked, being I'm down there by the dump fairly often, 1500 South has got the water sewer line going in and it's torn up, and my concerns were traffic and how I was going to get there. And I talked to Sam Kelly today, and he said that they've got plans to put signs in, redirect it. They've got ways to get around the traffic issues that they have. It's not going to be quite as clean as if it wasn't there, but they have planned far enough ahead, so I think they've done their due diligence to, because it's a little different this year than it's been in years in the past.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mayor, I move to approve the Strangling Brothers Haunted Circus as a temporary and seasonal use at the location of 632 East, 1500 South in the PI1 zone, subject to all requirements set forth in the American Fork City Municipal Code, including fire inspection and business license requirements.
A motion by Councilmember John,
Second.
second by Councilmember Taylor. Any discussion on this motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Hawley.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Okay, item number 3 is a review and action on a request for a temporary seasonal use license known as Gooey Gourmet Brownies, located at approximately 850 West and 700 North. I think we had them on the agenda. It's not been too long, but I love saying Gooey Brownies, Gourmet Brownies. So
My only question is there a way that we can help them not have to apply for a business? I know it's a residential area, and that's why it's a.
And it's not a permanent structure
Okay.
that they're occupying.
I agree with that. That's actually my big thing,
It's
is
like,
that
oh,
it's not a
that's
seasonal
the
or
thing.
temporary, because it's not temporary and it's not seasonal. If they want a perpetual license, then I think we need to come up with some kind of process for them, so they're not wasting their time coming in here.
I mean,
Yeah, because there's a level of permanency that will
Yeah.
be established if it's a continual one. So
Okay.
I think something needs to be addressed, but
okay, for now, this is what we're gonna do.
Do-
Yeah, I wouldn't mind furthering some
But,
conversation with
yeah,
that.
I think it would need to be a permanent structure as well for that, because.
True.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice, but if it's not a permanent structure, we always talked about slippery slopes. We start down this
True.
road, it's no bueno.
Okay.
Do we have anything in our code that limits the amount of temporary licenses
It's
that you?
not established in our code, but it is something that would be handled on a legal level, of precedent of where permanency is established.
Yeah, I mean, how many of these can we do? And
I think rolling in, like, seasonal is, currently it's like about 3 months, 4 months. The double season, I don't know what the season for brownies is, it's all year for some people, but.
I'm actually an expert on that.
Brownies.
You'd like me to pontificate?
Yeah, subject matter experts, but yeah. You know, there are certain things that are kind of naturally constrained by seasons. This is a little bit different, but one we probably have to look into a little bit more. I don't think there's an issue between going, in with an additional one for now, but
Right.
multiple more could
It
be
might. I
problematic.
kind of think they did, like, stop in the dead of winter, did they stop service? I think they may have.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So they.
You know what, can I just get your name?
Yes, I'm Jensen Reynolds. I'm the owner of Dewey.
Okay.
So.
I'm gonna have you, if you wouldn't mind, just come up. It's just, you know what, no,
This has to be in the record.
it just, we can hear you, but
Yeah.
it won't be recorded.
I got you. Open your shoe hole. Go get it. So we're the new owners. We purchased it in January.
Can you just state your name again?
Yes, Jensen Reynolds,
Okay.
owner of Dewey. So we purchased it from the previous owners in January, and they were shut down in December due to licensing issues, which is why we've worked with the city to get the correct stuff from the state and then correct from you guys. Ideally, we would like to not stay in our little shack, especially because it gets cold, but for right now, it's kind of our only option until we can find a brick and mortar. So that's why we want to continue to go through until December or I guess it'd be January, I think is what it would be if it's 4 months. And then depending on what happens after that, if we can get a brick and mortar, then that's the only reason why we would continue to do the seasonal licenses, because that's our only, sorry, I'm out of breath, and also like, this is like my passion, this is what I do, and it's just like crazy, but.
Yeah, we want you here.
Yeah, and and they're so good, and I would bribe you more, but I can't. So anyway, so ideally, we would only open the shack during the summer, but for right now, since it's our only location, that's kind of where we're at. So like, if we get a brick and mortar by January, we likely wouldn't keep that location open until we would come back next May and then do the same thing for the 4 months for the shack.
So you have the brick and mortar plus the shack in the summertime?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And I think that makes more sense, because if you're gonna, you'd have a seasonal for the
Yeah.
shack, but then you have a brick and mortar. We just
Yeah.
wanna make it easy, and that's
Well,
what, because we really do like you being
and it's a
here.
lot cheaper if we do it easy, but I want to, all of my employees are American Fork residents, and they're all high school students that they're just so great. So yeah, if I can, I would like to not have to come back. If I do, depending on brick and mortar stuff, then I will, and we can talk about it then, but ideally, I would like to not come back if I don't have to.
No, that's great.
And you know what, we might have some ideas where you can go with the brick and mortar.
Yeah,
We have
that'd be
people
awesome.
that know this city very well.
Yeah, so that's it. Amen.
Okay.
Well, Mayor, I move to approve the temporary seasonal use for gooey gourmet brownies located approximately 850 West 700 North, subject to the requirements of section 17.5.122 temporary and seasonal uses.
We have a motion by Councilmember Holly,
I'll second.
second by Councilmember Carroll. Any discussion on this motion? Okay, I will call for a vote. Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Item number 4 is a review and action for a request for consideration known as Rockwell Catering, located at approximately 1325 South and 500 East. Patrick, why don't you maybe just set this situation up, the application, what they do.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor.
The table set.
That was a good little pun there, that's very nice. There, as you're aware, there's a multitude of different uses in the PI1 zone. There's a couple different uses that have come in over the last couple of years that don't fit into any of the particularly specified permitted uses. So there's a provision in the code under B1E that would allow the council to make a determination based on what's brought forward that something seems similar to one of those existing uses and may fit into that zone. This is one of those instances where the applicant has a commercial kitchen. We've got other businesses in adjacent units and throughout that zoning that have food production facilities, from meal prepping to also freeze drying of meals, for all a variety of different things, food related, beverage and supplement production as well. It's not specific to any of the uses, but staff had felt like this is a good use and could be something that council may consider under that provision of B1E, that it's other uses determined by council to fit and be in harmony with the intent of the zone. So that's why it's here. We think it's a great use based on what the applicant has given us as information for how they plan to run their business. I think it fits in there. Wouldn't have huge impact like a restaurant or anything like that, so it is a larger commercial facility rather than just a retail.
I personally think this is a great option, a great thing to have down there. It seems to me to fit perfectly, so I'm completely supportive. If you guys have no comments, I will make, I will
Hold
move
on,
to.
I do have a question, just
Okay.
real quick. I just want to confirm that this, because as I understand it, food trucks are required to have their own commercial kitchen address if they're a food truck, but that doesn't apply to this particular, this is just your space. Sorry, I'm asking them.
It's
Is that
okay, if
Mayor?
they're the applicant, I'm gonna have you come forward if you wouldn't mind and just,
Yeah, I've read through that, and I wanted to make sure,
You just state
as I
your name.
understand it, that's the case, I just want to make that clear.
Ethan Ingram, Whitney Ingram, we own Rockwell. Yeah, it's just for that space. We're not doing a food truck at all. And I'm not really even sure what the specifications are, or the requirements for doing that. You need like a commissary kitchen, and that's not really what we're doing. Anyway, you guys have all had my food several times before, by the way. We've catered the Christmas party for years, and I'm not exactly sure how many, but I'm pretty sure we've fed everybody here before. So we're actually really excited to move into the city, so if we could possibly do that.
So this would be just for you guys only, your kitchen?
Yes.
Your preference.
And we were worried at first when we were trying to get it going that perhaps people were thinking it was like a restaurant or something. We're not intending to have any customers on site or anything like that. So it's really just a production kitchen, and yeah, it's kind of an easy process that, as far as that stuff goes. So thank you.
That helps me, Mayor. My understanding, and I apologize for bringing it up, I just understood the commissary kitchen thing to be very different. So I think it's really important to delineate that as a key factor, because I don't want to have that become, food truck alley where every food truck in that market, just because we do this particular kitchen, that then becomes an open door for that kind of a scenario. In my mind, that doesn't fit.
It's like food for wedding receptions.
It's perfect. I love it.
Company parties, stuff like that.
And it still would not become an overall permitted use. That would have to be legislative action. So if something similar to this came through, it would still need to come back before
That's great.
City Council for your review.
Okay, with that, I will make a motion to approve the request for consideration for Rockwell Catering located at approximately 1325 South, 500 East, subject to the requirements of Section 17.7.701 Planned Industrial Parks.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Taylor. Any discussion on this motion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Okay, item number 5 is a review and action on an ordinance approving the vacation of a portion of the public utility easement for property at 1026 North and 1050 East located within the Autumn Crest Phase 1 Plat B subdivision. Any questions outside of the packet?
Mayor, I move to adopt the ordinance approving the vacation of a portion of the public utility easement at 1026 North, 1050 East American Fork, 84003.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Holly. Any discussion on this motion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Okay, item number 6 is a review and action on an ordinance approving a code text amendment known as operational overlays for American Fork City Municipal Code, amending section 17.4.604, section 4. The code text amendment plans to update the block type overlay and operational overlay maps within the transit-oriented development zone. Patrick, why don't you, if you could, just paraphrase it and then just tell us, if you wouldn't mind, where does it move from there?
This is an engineering item.
Oh, I am so,
but-
you're right. I'm sorry.
I could do my best engineer impression and not look any of you in the eye, but
You have way too much personality.
All right, Sam, thank you.
Not nearly as handsome either. So what this is we're just updating our maps that we have in there for our roadway plans is what we've really done in this. And what we've done is we've shown you what we had originally with the block plans and districts, and brought in, as it's been developed, what those roads look like. So we're essentially just updated what was there with what's actually been built so far. So it really hasn't changed too much. That's really all we're doing with this.
So none of the text changed, right? It's just the maps?
Correct.
Okay.
Just the maps. Yeah.
Okay.
Did the planning commission, there was no planning commission notes on this, did they have any discussion on this that would be notable?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay.
just a basic point. And it was just to match up. And that's what Bennett advised.
With what we actually
That as built, because there's a little bit of a movement between what was originally planned and what was built, because just constraints, so things moved a little bit, getting everything to line up without sight of the TOD, so.
I did try to do some like comparing to see, was there anything that had to be modified beyond what has already been built? Like changing designations or routes?
No.
Okay.
The only thing that changed is as I sat down with Ben and looked at it, there was I think it's 480 South on the original plan where it kind of showed how it curved through and went down and then tied in further to the east, further to the south. What actually was built, that curvilinear road was shifted a little bit, but the beginning and ending are still the same. It was just how it had kind of wound through and changed a little bit.
Okay. Thank you.
Mayor, I'd move to adopt the ordinance approving the code text amendment, amending section 17.4.608, section 4, titled Operational Overlays, with instructions to the city recorder to withhold publication of the ordinance, subject to all conditions identified in the public record of the August 20th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting have been met.
We have a motion by Councilmember Taylor,
Second.
second by Councilmember John. Any discussion on this motion?
Mayor, if I could ask just a question about the Centennial Farm stuff. That's one of the things that was brought up earlier in the public comment. I just have a question about that as it relates to, do we want to include any of that in there? Do we want to at least reference that that's part of that area? I know that's not as convenient and maybe as fluid as this process could be, but I do appreciate that the master plan is really important because we definitely need to show the long-term vision of what could be. But I also appreciate being able to recognize that somebody that has a Centennial Farm is a significant impact in our community, and we need to at least recognize that it's there. Anyway, as it relates to this motion, that's I guess what I was asking.
That being said, I'm going to go back to, well, I have a motion in a second. Let me just see where this goes, okay? And then we'll work from there. So I have a motion, a second, and we have comment, and I'm going to call for a motion, okay? Councilmember Holly?
So I guess just to make sure for procedure, if we want to go back to Hunter's motion to have that amendment, would I vote nay to reinstate a motion?
Could I
Or can he just edit the motion?
edit my motion?
Yes. Yes.
So I think that would be a good idea to have that in there. And I know with Heather not here. Ryan, is the wording you'd like to say to make note in these overlays and in the current plan that we designate where the Centennial Farm is?
Yeah, and that I guess is my question. I don't know what. I'm a huge proponent of protecting that right? We say that property rights are across the board. We also have plenty of neighbors that have developed, and they have a right to have their development be successful as well, or have access and all those things. But what I just want to make sure is that we're at least acknowledging it, and I don't know how the best way to do that is. So I guess I'm a little bit at a loss. That was the reason for the question in the motion. It's not necessarily to change the motion, other than to perhaps add it.
Could we just have that
just add
labeled
it
as
some,
such?
like perhaps adding that as labeling the,
It would be recognizing.
at least
Can
acknowledge
I ask
it.
a question about, and this is just can you just educate me? The term Centennial Farm, is it a specific designation, or is it like a legal designation, or is it like something that, because it's century, like, give me, like, and what implications would that have if the city?
I probably am not the expert on that. I'll just tell you that we did attend when that farm was designated, and it's literally, once it's
Like
hit
it's a
100 years.
designation.
Yeah, that's the designation, that Centennial Farm is, it has to be continuous, owned and operated by the same family for 100 years. And then it can be labeled as a Centennial
By
Farm.
the city, right?
No, by the state.
By the state, it's a state by the state designation, yeah.
Yeah, the ag,
Okay.
the ag, I forget his name, from Utah State University came down and actually awarded that to the family. Again, there aren't very many of those, and they're shrinking, frankly. So I recognize, and I think candidly, all of us recognize the area is different than it was, and it will continue to be different than it is currently. But I also think it's at very least recognizing that it is a Centennial Farm, and how can we,
Well,
I
you
would
just
love,
need to designate
so
that.
even
Yeah,
just
I think it needs to be
acknowledging that there's,
designated
I think
on
at
there,
least
on
at
the-
that
on the-
point, at least it's in there.
Yeah.
So I'd be happy with that
Other Centennial
if it was
Farms?
modified.
Not in American Fork.
Okay.
There, in fact, Mayor, you were there, I can't recall exactly, but I think he said there was 2 that year or something. Don't
Very
quote me.
rare.
It was pretty rare. And
The Chipman Farm in American Fork is also a Centennial Farm, so we've got.
It is?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I was not aware of that.
So, all right, do you want to amend the motion?
I will amend the motion with the language that I thought I just kind of laid out, to include the marking or the designation of the Centennial Farm on those overlays and maps in that area.
And I'll still second that amended
We
motion.
have a motion and a second, amended motion and a second, and I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Okay, item number 7, Sam, I'll have you do this. I'm just kidding. I know this was Patrick's. So, item number 7 is review and action on a proposed general plan amendment known as American Fork Station Area Plan. The American Fork Station Area Plan looks to identify the existing conditions, the planning and visioning process, preferred development objectives, preferred development scenarios, implementation strategies, and financial funding resources for the overall station area. Okay, now,
Thanks,
Patrick,
Mayor.
if you could just paraphrase maybe from our work session to after whatever happens tonight and what might happen after this process.
So we had a giant work session a couple weeks ago. We went from there after getting all of that information to Planning Commission. Ms. Lamf is correct in that there were 3 items that were a part of the motion from Planning Commission for the recommendation of approval. Generally, we reference that, which it's all included in the packet. We don't actually amend the plan because the plan is what was presented to them. So instead of having multiple different versions of the plan or changing something that may need to be changed back, our general stance with anything is bring forward what was originally presented to Planning Commission, have all of the information in the packet that's in the minutes and background, and then allow that to be reviewed and discussed by City Council to see if you agree with that motion and conditions, or if you have a different opinion on that. Chris is here as well from SOMAS, who's the consultant team that worked on this, so he'll be able to add a little bit more information as well. But after Planning Commission, we are here tonight. We're not seeking approval of an ordinance adopting this amendment to the general plan yet. This is an approval as to form. So essentially it would be city council looking at this saying, okay, we agree that it meets all of the requirements as outlined by, in state code, because this is a requirement set at the state level. I don't think we would be going into as much detail for a plan like this, only for the state requirements. We would naturally plan for that area, just not to this extent. So after here, if it gets a recommendation, or if it gets approved as to form by City Council, it will go to the MAG certifying committee, the Station Area Plan Policy Committee. If they agree that everything's in there, they will certify it, or they will certify it with conditions if they feel like there's certain things that need to be added because it doesn't address the requirements of state code. And then it would come back to City Council with any potential changes from the Station Area Plan Policy Committee, and seek final approval of that certified document at that point.
And that's when we
Naturally,
would have an ordinance at
that's when
that
we would have an
point.
ordinance
Okay.
adopting that, so that would, at that point then, amend our general plan to update the 2014 Station Area Plan to our current 2025 Station Area Plan. That's in draft form right now.
And so that would be added to our general plan at that time?
It has to be a
Okay.
part of our general plan, along with our modern income housing plan, which, because we're a city of a certain class with a fixed transit guideway system in the city, we have to have a strategy to adopt a station area plan. So both of those are tied together along with our general plan and are parts of our general plan under state code requirements. We did have discussions with Lehigh on all of the plans. There is an overlap. We're planning for the default station location, so there's only a marginal overlap. We discussed that through the consultants with Lehigh. The benefit of multiple benefits of working with SOMAS, but they were also engaged with Lehigh on other plans, so we did have a significant, robust conversation with Lehigh to go over plans. I don't think anything that was being proposed was going to impact them. Naturally, if the station area were to move, or the station location were to move, we would need a new overall station plan at that point to adopt different changes in land uses. But we have a default location. That is our goal, to plan that out and build that out. It's just if different things happen at different times, would warrant us having a look at alternative options, and that's why we have an option 1 and an option 2. I would much prefer for us not to have to go through multiple planning processes for something. So that's why it's not even labeled as our existing station as option 1. It is our default plan. That is why it's labeled as default and not option. It's specific that is from an adoption point. If council and the certifying group feel like it meets all of the requirements, that we would move forward full steam ahead of planning out and implementing for that location. I think that's kind of my high level. If there's any specific questions, happy to include that. In terms of the conditions, don't have any heartache really of labeling the property as a Centennial Farm. That can be easily added as a key on our legend or index, or whatever we're calling it. Whether it's numbered or an icon, that's something I think that we can easily do. It's one of the items. The other item that was required is more boldly identifying these as concepts. It's in there in numerous places. It's not a problem for us to identify them as concepts either. The workflow one, I can understand the ask on that one, but we really need to dive in and see the impacts to that workflow of adding that in. The default on that is if the land's not owned, someone's not developing it. So putting that requirement into the workflow is not even needed, so, at least from my perspective. But happy to go into more detail, or if there's any specific questions from council. either for me or for Chris.
Mayor, if I could, if that's all right,
Yeah.
I just want to bring up the fact, I know these are conceptual, right, in nature. The concern that I have is we go from a work session, and this picture, for example, on page 110 is the cover. That's concerning to me that this is the first time we see it, and then we're asked, I mean, because when this goes out to the public, then it becomes, oh, well, this is what we're doing. There are several things on here, none the least of which is one of the biggest issues we have in this city is the flyover that we continue to talk about needing to include and be a huge portion of this. The intent behind it is that we have the flyover as a priority, and in this image, it doesn't even exist. There's a road that dead ends at I-15, and there is no flyover in this conceptual image. If one of the primary reasons for doing this update is to have this become more of a regional impetus, I can't, for the life of me, understand why we would have created this image. And I have no idea where this image even came from until it was shown up in this packet. And so for me, that's one of the concerns that I have. It's like, doesn't even, well, two things. I want to first take a dibs on the sailboat in Mill Pond.
On Mill Pond?
Yeah, I get slip number one. Second is the flyover, I guess. But it's just things like that. It's like, when we put something like this together, if that's the priority for American Fork City, we have to have a flyover. To have this image not even include that is like short-sighted at best. I worry that, like, I know we want to get this going, but it feels a little bit like.
Can you tell me what page that is?
Page 110 of the packet.
It's
It's
of
the
the
cover.
packet. Do you know what?
It's the cover to the.
It's the cover to
thing.
it's packet page 110.
Yeah.
I don't have the packet.
Okay,
open,
it's
so-
the very cover page,
It's
the
the cover.
American Fork Stationary Plan by Somas.
Okay.
And so there's an image there, and we can pull it up, I guess, if we want. But again, I just struggle with, I mean, that's a huge thing. We've fought like forever, certainly longer than I've been on the council, to have that flyover be a regional importance. And to, again, I don't mean to make too much of it, but that's just one example of several things that I see in this, that it's like, I would love to take this into a next work session or have a conversation about it beyond just, hey, we had a work session, now we're gonna move this forward. It just felt a little bit rushed for me.
Well, the problem that I see, go along those same lines, it's a concept, and it's out there, and it's blue sky. I mean, the first thing I said was, Stacy was, there's no flyover on there. And
Really said that.
We have not talked about this. by the way.
no, we have not, but the sailboats, on the Mill Pond, I mean, but that's what it is. But the fact is, it goes out, and it's the first exposure the public has, and the public's saying, okay, I see what's going on. So, yeah, I mean, I would rather not have that, but I appreciate the other items mentioned, Patrick, and having those denoted in here so that they're there. But yeah, I'm with Councilman Hunter. I think this is.
So would you like a different image or no image?
Yeah,
on the front?
or
Is
no
that-
image,
Or
no
or
image.
something.
Yep.
Well, I do feel like when you start putting out images of renderings particularly, yeah, it's, people take that as that's what's going to happen for good reason. Like, this is like a thing that, I've seen this is what they want here, and it's not reality, so we've got to be really careful with something that definitive.
I get a question. Do you think the Stationary Plan Policy Committee, which I should know because I'm on that, are they going to accept this without an image? To me, it's more in the wording.
Yeah, I
The
ain't
supportive
no-
documentation.
I
This
ain't
is
no
just-
image on this.
sky, right?
I honestly think the Stationary Planning Committee is not going, and even as we look at it at a staff level, the meat in all of this is the implementation plan. I understand,
Yeah.
and I apologize for the error in not having the correct concept in there of a final vision, but just because it's got a pretty picture on the front of it doesn't necessarily mean everything gets built that way. It's how it's implemented,
But it's-
which is the step-by-step within the plan. That's the meat of the whole thing, and if it ends up looking something even similar to that, I think we're going in a good direction to some extent, but I do agree flyover was a miss, and should
It's
be.
interesting. I
should be
The
didn't-
addition of the logo and the roundabout, however, it's right.
Yes, yeah, that's
Yeah,
Right in the face of Lehigh.
well, I had actually flagged that with Chris, and he because I said, Chris, the logo's upside down. And he said, yeah, no, that was intentional, because it's not meant for us, it's meant for the people that are passing. So we got a good laugh out of that.
It's funny, I didn't even look at that picture, honestly.
You want, Chris, you want to come up, please?
So the flyover is in the picture, but it's not prominent enough, so I get that. You'll see it curve over, but that's a 3D model where we just Photoshop the top, and so that's a good catch, but that's an easy fix. That said, taking that photo out makes a lot of sense. Pushing a different photo to the cover, yeah, because it's not the it's not the default concept. So yeah, change the photo.
That's a
Yeah.
great comment, Chris, because if in fact our default is, then let's use the default station.
Yeah,
We took
100%.
Yeah, we took
100%.
aerial photography of the existing station, so we can use one of those as the cover. It's very simple.
It's real, I was just finishing my thought that I was saying earlier, like, I literally didn't even look at the photo until you mentioned, or the rendering until you mentioned it. And it's silly because it means nothing for this plan, like as far as
No.
like proposal implementation, and yet, yeah, people could get real
Yeah,
upset.
And I just-
why do we
Yeah.
put it on there? If it means
Yeah.
nothing, why do we put it on?
Exactly.
Removing that image is probably helpful in another regard, simply because you're forced to go into the plan before you start seeing anything and you make your mind up, instead of looking at the page, the cover page, and being like, I hate this. Let's get into the meat of it.
Yeah.
I think that's.
And talk about the plan rather than the image, because it's a conceptual image, and, you know, could be a 40-year build-out for something even remotely close to that, but
Okay,
Yeah.
speaking of the meat of this, I do have a question. Is the 500 East, I know that was in our original optioning, but was that in the plan still?
still there as the
Okay.
option 2, so.
Oh,
it's-
that is option 2?
That's that's
I
the,
must have-
there's default option 1, which moves to the west, and option 2, which
Okay.
is down on 500 East.
Okay.
Remind me, sorry,
And option 1 has multiple phases within it, because there would be more than just a station. It's got a lot of transit-related amendments that would have to happen, hence multiple phases. I didn't want that to seem, as well, just for full disclosure, I didn't want that to seem like, because there's more phases within that, it's more of a priority. That's not the case. It's actually, there's more problems with moving that, hence the need for multiple phasing of that, rather than a simple greenfield site that doesn't have a major constraint, or an existing location that has a lot of what we need already.
Okay. What were you gonna say, Ryan?
I got caught by a pretty picture again.
Can I add some context to that?
I was looking at Patrick and it totally took.
So, we've been working on this for a little while, and the first, over a year ago, we got to the point where shifting the station was what many of the parties were looking forward to, and we had created the draft at that point. We didn't change the cover besides the date of draft. So that is something that's more or less a remnant, but that's a great catch. Just for context.
No, that's great.
And then we added the default and the options.
Yeah, my apologies if I insinuated that it was intentionally misleading. That's not what I was
Yeah, I
suggesting.
think
just
we've
think
moved
that
on past
whatever
that
we're
one.
putting out, we need to make sure that there are ramifications to it. I love your comment, Patrick, about let's not pre-confuse or suggest this could be. Let's say, read what we're talking about and see if it makes sense. This, I do remember what my comment was, and there was a section, as I recall, when we did have a work session, that was talking about the potential of 2 platforms. Is that one of the phases of number 2?
I think that will be any phase, even default, because of the double tracking. So if you've got 2 tracks running through the station, they'll have to have a platform on the other side. Or are you talking 2 stations?
I meant 2 stations.
2 stations.
I realized 2 platforms, but 2 stations, because as I recall, there was a conversation about you could even potentially argue that a 50 station, even if the default were to stay, that a 50 station or thereabouts would be.
Chris
egg
and his
farm.
team had run a lot of the numbers on it, and we have enough spacing between the stations that would give us even more of a spacing than that's between Orem and Vineyard right now. So
I mean,
in a feasible sense, there's a
We could
significant
really argue
possibility
that,
between
I mean, and imagine that, the city knows where the traffic 50s probably should have been replaced in the first case, but.
Didn't
I
get
don't-
that choice, did we?
Yeah, we didn't have that, but perhaps in the second round, that would be an option. Anyway, I just was curious.
The thing is, the thing that would solve more problems than even a second station would be access from the north.
Of course.
Yeah.
I
I mean, that would,
Would be
Which-
a no-brainer.
I didn't go into it, but the light at the intersection crossing, I don't even know what that is, but Harts, by whatever it's called now, run me to the.
On the go.
On the go.
On the run.
On the run. That Harts, that intersection, you know, it sounds like, it felt like it was perhaps intentionally left off to have a street light in that location. I know the state is not a fan of that. I don't want our expectation of what could be to be what they want.
Yeah, I agree.
I want a street light there. I want to have that conversation with the state to say, that's
You
not
talking
an
about a
option.
street light or a semaphore? A signal light?
Yeah, sorry, a stoplight, not a street light, my apologies. But a red, yellow, and a green turn arrow light, whatever that is.
Okay.
Yeah,
But I,
Like they have on
again,
Sesame
that's
Street.
one of the things, when I look at that, I go, this is being a little soft, because I don't want to be soft with this. I want to say, I want a flyover, and I want a freaking street light in that intersection. Excuse me, a stoplight in that intersection, so we can get traffic to the other side of the on-ramp, in between the train and, you know, that would heavily help that area regardless of another section.
Make all the difference in the world, so.
Yeah.
Those are,
That's a good point. We actually have that in when we designed out that more blown up, there's a underpass and light at Hearts.
perfect. And
So, yeah,
And
we-
again,
we
let's-
considered-
let's,
yeah.
I want that in their face, not, hey, if you read subsection number 47.
We were pushing UDOT that direction.
Yeah.
And
And I know
then
they said no.
They backed up and went to the flex lanes, and so it blew that up.
Okay, I have another question. In the plan, it talks about HTRZ a couple of times, implementation of that. Right now, we have a CRA, which they can't be
Overlapped.
overlaid.
Right.
So why is that in the plan?
That's one of our goals, is to look about how we can capture a difference, and it would be changes that would need to happen on a legislative level.
Okay.
Correct. And that's delineated in the plan, saying it can't be overlaid today. And so pushing the state, because there's almost every city that we've dealt with that's looked at the HCRZ would love to have that overlaid. And so pushing that to the state level to have the state actually allow that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's something, because we had, there's a number of different fiscal firms that we've had different engagement with, and some of them feel like the language is unclear and that you can potentially do it right now, and others are of the opinion that no, you can't. And when we put it to the people who make the decision, they were not able to give us a straight answer, which means but they understand where we're coming from, and they think, yeah, there's actually scope for cities. They're seeing more and more people are doing that, because they're not capturing all of the CRA potential, because it's a negotiation with all of the taxing entities, and
Okay.
that gap is enough to help maximize the potential of the area, because we're not capturing the entire RDA support that's needed to trigger the but-for analysis of being able
Yes.
to, but for RDA funds,
Yeah.
this redevelopment couldn't happen. The HTRZ overlap with
Gets the rest
that
of
can
the
help with that.
funds. Okay.
And we
That
talked
helps a
about
lot,
that.
thank you.
Yeah.
That actually helps a ton. I'll say for me personally, I do not like the 500 East option at all. I would love to just take it out. I think it muddies the water a little bit, there's very clear reasons why we might need to move it in some of the north or a little bit west, but 500 East for me, it doesn't work. That's my personal feeling. I think I'm okay to pass this how it is, adding some of those notations, especially if we add in some language that this is, I think this was one of the notations, this is concept plans, this is not required to be implemented this way. They, we're doing this for the requirements of the state, those kinds of things that's kind of where I'm lying.
And we, the pictures are not binding. The implementation strategy is where we take our guidance from. We're not going to look at a picture and say we need it done this way. Because
Even the maps?
The maps, yes, but I'm talking
Okay.
about the renderings of,
Sure,
your
sure,
3D
renderings,
images.
yeah.
But that's where we're getting a lot of focus, because that's that allows you to see what what a development can look like.
To add a little clarity here, the default is required because that's what UTA is saying. Yeah, we're good with that, and that's what the city is saying. This is our plan, and if for some reason this falls apart, here's some backups. That being said, showing multiple options. If you look at the eastern edge in the flow chart, the language that we use is very specific to looking at additional options at that point, and one of those options should be 500. So it's not saying it has to move to that, but it's an additional open up, hey, what are the options at this date, future? So that's, it
I see what you're
softens it on
saying,
500.
but I mean, I
yeah.
don't think I can ever see a rationale where that would be a great option. And I don't know that
Yeah.
I even
Can I-
want it as an option, unless I'm missing something.
No, I just want to clarify it, make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. Are you
Okay.
saying, because I actually don't disagree. I don't want to move the train station and start over somewhere else.
Instead of 5, yeah.
That's me.
Okay.
500 would be
I want it
the
50s,
other
and that's what I want to make
The
sure I'm
other
hearing
station,
correctly. As a
yes.
secondary option, I can get on board with that, because I think not having every bit of train traffic going through 200 South, I think we've all learned that if we could kind of condense that to just that area,
So you're saying secondary meaning a second station?
a second station.
Of that, I can be, I
Okay.
can,
And I would imagine, at least on a planning level, without it being the same density or intensity as existing station.
No, it would be different.
It
Yeah.
would be a minor station that's your.
I can see it as a
commuter
commercial
traffic and
station.
not TOD.
yeah.
Right.
Not
Yeah,
a
it's where
not a
commuters
So
are
in this
getting off
plan,
the way.
is it clear
Yes.
that that's what it is? It's not moving the station, it's a secondary station. As I read it, it looked like as an
Talks
option
about
to
it being,
move.
Yeah.
talks about
Yeah.
the potential of a secondary station, doesn't it?
Right, it does talk about it being a secondary station, and when you look at the flow chart, again, it's an optional, so if the western move doesn't work, then it says, look for that next option where it could work. But then it also talks, 500 could be a secondary station if it stays at the default, or it moves.
Because
west.
why would we pull a station that's got TOD development surrounding it?
Right.
That- so-
Yes, that,
So we
that's,
wouldn't- we
I
wouldn't
think
pull
that's
the carpet
exactly-
out
that's
from underneath.
exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, we
Like
do
that.
it
And that's what
because
the-
we're required to show those options,
No, we're
so.
not, we're not required to.
Not to show
any
the options, but we
options.
have to show constraints to development, and that's where some of that comes in, so hence the option.
I'm with you.
I'm with Stacy. I would love to see it shown as a second station option, not as a replacement option for the default option.
Well, I mean, I'll make some comment, because when definitely the work session, we definitely talked about it moving the station there. I know we did, so that's why this is interviews. We did give guidance to Chris that we wanted that as an option. So I just want to know, Chris was following our guidance that we gave in a work session. I don't know if we were there at that
That was
point.
like the.
But it was an
it was
option
before,
to move
but
it.
not this one.
Yes, it
Not
was
the
an
most
option
recent.
to
The
move
most
it.
recent one.
Yeah, the most recent.
I also made comments.
Yes,
about
but I'm just saying that we did
wasn't-
ask Chris to show an option where we move the actual train
That was
station.
the one before, but this last one, I said, this is too many options.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's why we did. We did ask Chris to show us an option where we moved it. But I think that there is I would just say there are reasons we would want to move it, is if like the flyover never happened, like literally never happened, and Pioneer Crossing became this jumbled up mess.
Became?
So what? Say what?
Became?
Became, exactly. If it became this jumbled, I'm just saying that that's why I would see it as a viable option to move the train station. If we literally can never get any of these road projects done, and like 200 South can never be expanded or anything like that, then I think, as an option, I think it would be a huge heavy lift, and And I think that it would be, because we already have a TOD there and all the high-density housing there. But I think that's why we gave Chris, like, literally, if we could never get the flyover or any of the road construction done, could it be a viable option to move the train station itself? As I said, it'd be option 3 or 4 or 5, but that's why we had that in there. I mean, we could definitely ask to take it out now.
I'm trying to think how I would ever, sorry, I turned my.
But I wonder, because going back to that, if we put a station there, the state still mandates certain things around the TOD. Like, we would have to do certain things around the train station, even if it's a small train, right?
It mandates a station area plan.
It doesn't mandate a TOD with high density, it doesn't mandate like 50 units per acre?
The HTRZ requirement would have
Well, I thought
that.
that, David, maybe, because doesn't it require within 1/3 of a mile?
Within 1/3 of a mile of the platform, it has to be 50 units to the acre.
Residential.
That's what the state of Utah,
HTRZ.
Yeah.
not
So we
just for
couldn't have it be a
that's for a
commercial
station area, fixed station
You would
area,
have to have residential high density.
in addition to HTRZ.
Yes. Well, 50s, if we move the train station there, it would have to have high density housing around it.
Well, you know what?
Unless it was already developed out.
Yes.
And that's one of
So if
the
we don't
tear stuff down.
constraints that would happen.
New improvement.
Got
So
it.
if it's greenfield, then it's 50 units to the acre, but if it's already built out.
It would be, you'd have to label it for redevelopment if it were to do that, but if you've only built in the last 10 years, you're likely not new housing. But that's where a number of our other groups that are involved in this, and Mayor Frost has probably seen it with the likes of Provo and Orem that have stations adjacent to existing development. They're having to plan for what ifs. But it's all relatively new. There's new medium density apartments in there. They don't meet those high density requirements, but they are looking at all of that.
And for those stations, the text, and I'm paraphrasing, but it says an increase in intensity around the station to capitalize on the infrastructure that's been placed. That's generally what they talk about when the station's existing, there's development existing around it. But, yeah.
You know, and I think it's conceptual. And we got to think that even in the future, the state could change some requirements. And I think thinking that Station 2 in a conceptual way as being more of a driving source for people to commute, to get off of 515, get on, there's just different needs. And so, again, this is it's a living document for both parties to live, to change it. And so, yeah, I could never see densities on the 500 East, but hey, it's a nice little driver with people that are just wanting to jump off and run to get into the Salt Lake area.
I think the difference between the two stations, you're talking a default station and a 500 East station, is our default station is where our residents get on and hop on and utilize, and a 500 East station, because it's adjacent to that employment center that we have, is where people travel to American Fork and get off to work.
Yeah. So
You've got a station that people leave from in the morning and arrive back to in the evening, and then vice versa for the other station. So
I mean, they can't make I-15 any bigger. So as it gets more constrained, they're going to have to widen their horizon a little bit on ideas on moving people. So.
And UTA has talked about, they're in the process of double tracking, and they're also in the process of speeding up the times between stops. So there may be express that skip stations, and therefore the spacing's not as critical, and that's why they allowed Vineyard and Orem and some of those things to happen. So UTA is already changing how they're addressing these stations as well as, and their general idea is sending and receiving stations, and currently they have demarcated your station as a sending station. People live there and go somewhere else. But
Well, they also bus people there, which is exactly what I'm trying to.
Except they don't anymore.
yeah, there's a lot of complexity, and that's why we got to where we are today.
I am not willing to be the doormat. I'm sick and tired of that. That's all I'm trying to say. I'll go on record as saying that. Turn my mic on so everyone can hear that. I just, whatever this message is to the state is, I want a flyover, I want a stoplight, semaphore on Pioneer, and I don't want to be just, everybody, you ship all your crap to us and we'll figure it out from here. That's not who we are.
And we need north and
We have
south
way more to
platforms on
offer.
the existing station.
We have way more to offer in American Fork than being the doormat for everybody else.
And that's generally what this plan is saying.
Thank you. Let's not confuse it with an image that doesn't say that.
Yeah, I agree. I think we got consensus across the
Yeah.
board. That image goes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Take it right out.
Yeah.
And while you're doing it, you've been working with Patrick too long on your concept 4. You've got E and Z mixed up, so I figured it would come from Patrick because you have a Z in there that just doesn't exist. It had to be Patrick. He's got the front runner moving over toward Mill Pond as an E, but on the legend, it's marked as a Z. So I said it had to be Patrick.
You son of a gun.
That's most likely me.
I mean, I know we're in an exercise, we gotta do what we gotta do on this, but I get it, 100%. But, and maybe this will be famous last words, the chances of us moving that, having that station move it's ridiculous. We can't get anything done that we've been asking for since 2011, and they're gonna move that station. I mean, we're spinning cycles and going through this, and I know we've got to do what we've got to do. So let's pass this and get on to what we need to do.
We really need north and south on both sides.
We do need north and south.
Okay,
Both sides of the
so
track station.
I think like for me, like that's part of why I didn't like a lot of options because I don't want to give them that option that I don't like. You know, we're talking about like if we're looking at, okay, American Fork is actually okay with this over here. But I agree, there's probably not a lot. Why don't we just kind of, in my mind, like maybe we pass it with the stipulations of, and I had jotted some of this down, mark the Lamp Centennial Farms, note that this is concept plans, there's no requirements tied to it, and that this is created to meet the station area plans.
Yeah, it's just, that's the idea. On the, inside one of the cover pages, you'll see there is a checklist / matrix for all of the requirements.
Yeah.
Chris and his team put that in there, so you go in and you see, these are the requirements, this is where we check them all off, this is how we're checking them all off. It's probably not an exercise we would have been doing only for legislation.
Yeah.
We have a TOD code already.
That's awesome. I love it.
Okay.
It is a checking the box.
Well, yeah, I mean, I move to approve the station area plan while creating a note in the plan that there are no entitlements or requirements tied to it, that we mark the Lamp Centennial Farm, and that this is a concept plan that we created to meet the state requirements for our station area plans.
Then we hate option 1. Is that too strong?
And I second that.
Take the cover page off, the picture of the cover page.
I don't know that I need to put that in the motion, do I?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Nah, it's just the design.
Yeah.
It's not the meat of
I
it.
think it's been pretty clear.
You want to tie
It's not
in
content-based, so.
the language of moving this forward to the state?
Sure.
Unless the state
And it-
requires concept art. That makes
No.
sense.
In addition, that it proceed to the Station Area Plan Policy Committee for consideration of approval and certification. Clear as mud.
What was number 4? I apologize.
I said I move to approve this station area plan while creating a note in the plan there are no entitlements or requirements, that we mark the Lamp Centennial Farm, that it's a concept plan created to meet the state requirements for the station area plan. I think that was only 3.
Oh, was it 3? Okay. I
Yeah.
missed it.
Isn't that what it said?
And, sorry, if I can,
Yeah.
it's not the lamp. Remind me the name.
It's under all red.
It is
Oh,
under
all
red.
red, okay.
It's the Hunting Family Farm.
Hunting Family Farm. That's, I knew it, I couldn't
Okay.
remember. It's Hunting Family Farm.
I move to
Okay.
amend that
Hunting
to.
Family Centennial Farm.
Family.
Family-
Hunting is our original family.
Hunting Family Centennial Farm?
And I
Okay.
still second whatever Stacy said. Whatever's out there, I second it, and I'm, whatever.
Whatever that was.
Hunting Family Centennial Farm, okay.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Carroll, second by Councilmember Holly. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'm going to call for a vote. Councilmember Holly,
Aye.
Councilmember John,
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Okay,
Thanks, Mark.
Item number 8 is review and action on resolution approving the First Amendment to the interlocal agreement for 200 South Multimodal Improvement Project between Utah County and American Fork City. Thank you, Sam.
I have a quick question about this. And maybe I'm reading the dates wrong. This expired in 2022.
Correct.
So has this interlocal agreement been in relapse for the past 3 years?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understood that.
Yeah, so we're just cleaning that up and just extending it, the original agreement, for another 3 years.
Are we gonna be able to get, do we have MAG funding? We're gonna get MAG funding
Right, that's
for
what
that?
it is we're just, yeah.
Cleaning it
Okay.
up so we can get MAC funding.
Okay.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that it's all active, so if we did happen to get property, we can go ahead and move forward with the
Okay.
project.
I guess kind of as follow-on, are we retroactively having the agreement go from November 6th, 2022 to 2028, or is it just effective from today? So we're just like letting that, okay, I just wanted to make sure.
So Mayor, I'd move to adopt the resolution approving the First Amendment to the interlocal agreement 2019-873 for the AF 200 South Multimodal Improvements Project.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Councilmember Taylor, second by Councilmember Carroll. Any discussion on this motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Number 9 is a review and action on a resolution approving the declaration of property to be surplus and disposed of. Part of our public hearing.
Mayor, I'd move to adopt the resolution approving a declaration of real property to be surplus and disposed of.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Taylor, second by Councilmember Holly. Any discussion on the motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Item number 10 is a review and action on a resolution approving the disposition of lost or mislaid property or seized property.
Mayor, I'd move to adopt the resolution authorizing the disposition of lost or mislaid property or seized property.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Taylor, second by Councilmember John. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Carroll.
Aye.
Councilmember John.
Aye.
Councilmember Holly.
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor.
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Item number 11 is review and action on approval of a change order number 7 for Auto Mall Drive Extension Project awarded to Landmark Excavation. Thanks for staying there, Sam. Is there any questions we have for Sam?
I mean, sorry, if I keep turning that off and then start talking. One of the things that we talk about a lot, that recently there's been a few of these bids that have come in, and it comes up and we talk about this where, hey, this guy's really low. Are we certain that they've
Yeah.
actually covered everything? I think Councilmember John was the one that brought it up most recently on the last award, or one that I recall. I just want to know, we're now sitting at about 600,000 almost in change order on a $1.7 million award. It's a pretty significant change, so I know there's some sequence to that, but perhaps putting that on the record might be of value to, or understanding how we arrive at that, what changes were, why, I know.
Just I guess a little history on the change orders. This one for 103,000, that's because we can't get the roadway surface to heal. We've actually performed, I believe it was a $30,000, $40,000 change order that we had built into the contingency where we over excavated and brought in material. We can't get part of this road to heal up to where we can actually roof roll and pave it. That's why we're having this ask for this change order, is to do a cement treated base to get that road solid so we can pave on it. Bulk of the previous change orders we had in this is we added some scope. We had a portion of water main that we extended from the frontage road clear up to 4 South. That wasn't part of it. So regardless of what we had for the low bid, we had some scope creep on that. We just took advantage of them being there, and we increased the project scope. So
I appreciate that definition, because that's exactly why I think it's important. Somebody comes back and looks at this, and it's sitting at, good heavens, $1.8 million bid, and now we're $600,000 over.
Right.
That's a 30% increase, right? It's like, but that's not totally the message, right?
Right.
We added an entire thing. In fact, it was actually the prudent thing to do when we had the opportunity, and we're gonna increase the sewer, or improve the sewer while we're in the area doing that. Man, I think that's the prudent thing, but I think it's important that we share that message. Sure. Thank you for doing that.
And Ryan, I know this site probably better than anybody, and this is probably one of the most challenging places to build that I've seen. I'm not surprised. I think Landmark's doing a good job. You're right, Ryan, we need to delineate that, but this is a tough piece of property. We did. So.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the city approve change order number 7 for the Automall Drive Extension Project in the amount of $130,000 to Landmark Excavating Incorporated, which is inclusive of contingency funds.
We have a motion by Councilmember John?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Holly. Any discussion on this motion? I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Okay, item number 12. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mayor.
A motion by Councilmember
Second.
Taylor, second by Councilmember Holly. I'll just call for an up or down vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. We are adjourned.